Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Joey.
I'm Maile.
And I'm Jandari. And today's presentation, we will be introducing a research article that looks into the short-term plyometric and resistance training effects on fitness. This presentation includes the researcher's article of the abstract introduction, methods, data and results, and discussion and application. In the abstract, the research article introduces their purpose, which is to determine the effects of combined plyometric and resistance training, PRT, versus static stretching and resistance training, RT, in boys ages 12 to 15. In the methods, they introduce how there are two groups which either complete a plyometric training or static stretching, but have a common similarity of having to complete a resistance training after either or. Due to this, they trained 2 times a week on non-consecutive days for a total of 6 weeks. And after the 6 weeks, the participants were tested on 6 tests, which included the vertical jump, long jump, seated medicine ball toss, sprint, pro agility shuttle run, and flexibility to test their overall fitness. After this, they found that PRT significantly enhances the upper body and lower body power in boys. Not only that, they found that there were no significant differences in their physical characteristics and fitness performance. In the introduction, they discussed how there was a lack of research in comparing PRT and RT, and due to this, they hypothesized that combined plyometric and resistance training results in greater improvements in their physical performance compared to just resistance training. In addition to their findings, they found that regularly participating in resistance and plyometric training, it will help improve strength and power in adults and youth adolescents. Not only that, but a combined training program showcased significant improvements than just resistance training by itself. Due to this, researchers emphasize the importance to youth coaches to implement plyometric and resistance training programs, as youth athletes can be seen significantly improving in their sport performance.
Next, we'll go over the methods. In this study, there were 27 participants. 14 were in the resistance training group, and 13 were in the combined resistance training and plyometric training group. In this study, all participants watched a demonstration for proper testing procedure, and they were also asked not to do intense workouts the day of or before testing. Testing was done in the same order with identical equipment, positioning, and techniques. For the first test, they did a vertical jump, which was calculated by taking their maximal jump height and subtracting their standing reach height. They also performed a long jump, a seated medicine ball toss, and a 10-yard sprint, as well as a pro agility shuttle run, as shown in that picture. For flexibility, they tested this with a V-sit flexibility test in a temperature-controlled environment. After this, both groups trained on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and prior to training, completed a 10-minute warm-up, which included a self-selected jogging pace as well as calisthenics. After this 10-minute warm-up, the resistance training group performed 25 minutes of static stretching, while the plyometric and resistance training group completed 25 minutes of plyometric training. The static stretches are shown there on the right. They performed each 7 stretches for 30 seconds, rested for 5 seconds, and then repeated, and switched legs when necessary. For the plyometric training, for weeks 1 and 2, they performed 10 repetitions for 1 to 2 sets of those 10 exercises. For weeks 3 and 4, they performed 8 repetitions for 1 to 2 sets of those 12 exercises. And for weeks 5 and 6, they performed 6 repetitions of each 12 exercises for 1 to 2 sets each. all groups performed the same resistance training, which included 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps of 6 different exercises. After those 12 exercises were completed, each group performed 12 to 25 reps of abdominal, lower back, and rotator cuff exercises, as well as were taught how to record data on workout logs throughout the training period.
As for the data taken during this experiment, there was some pretest information needed to be gathered for the 27 participants. For the table on the left, it shows the baseline physical characteristics of the boys, documenting the mean age, body mass, height, and body mass index. This data is important to document prior to the experiment because it's most effective to have a controlled setting where there are similar body types, so the results can't be skewed. For the data on the right, we are given the plyometric program that the PRT group participated that Joey discussed earlier. And on this slide, we see the table that shows the post-test results for all the exercise variables that were analyzed. This data shows the group's baseline performance of the test and the post-training results, whether it was with the plyometric training group or not. The last column represents the individual percent change before and after the training. In the post-training column, there are markers to help identify whether the hypothesis was true or false. The cross or T represents that there is significantly greater improvement in the PRT group compared to the RT group. And the asterisk signifies that there is significantly greater improvement from just the baseline test. Solely from the data, we were able to see that the plyometrics training was able to help in the long jump, shuttle run, and ball toss, which will be discussed more in depth later.
Let's go ahead and talk about the discussion and application of the study. So what plyometric does to the body is that it provides an eccentric and concentric muscle action, which increases the rate of force for jumping and sprinting. This also may prime the neuromuscular system by creating new neural pathways. For resistance training, it helps strengthen muscles and increase acceleration for individuals. And this means that the effects of plyometric training and resistance training may be synergistic, where the combined effects are greater than being one alone. Measured by medicine ball toss, results were found that the plyometric resistance training increased body strength with static stretching training by 14.4% and 5.6% respectively. The researchers discussed that this could be caused by the incorporated medicine ball toss training in the workouts. For long jump, there was an increase by 5% with plyometric workouts, and for vertical jump, although there was an improvement with plyometric training, there was no significant difference between the two workouts. This may be due to the fact that exercises highlighted on the action of jumping forward rather than upward. So therefore, it's suggested that the vertical jumping exercises should be taken into further research. As for agility, plyometric has a positive increase compared to resistance training, with 3.8% for plyometrics and 0.3% for static stretching. For sprinting, the experiment has not resulted in any difference where plyometrics had increased speed. This was most likely due to the distance of the sprint. It was only 9.1 meters, which was not enough for the participants to reach peak running velocity. For flexibility, there wasn't a comparison between the two exercises. Both plyometric training and the resistance training both proved to increase flexibility by 28%. Some things to note of is that the biological maturation of the boys were not taken into consideration, so the participants could have differing maturation processes that could alter the results. It is also important to take note that the plyometric training program was more physically strenuous than those who were part of the resistance program. In conclusion, incorporating plyometric training to a resistance training program proved to strengthen upper body and lower body. Studies should be taken into long term to uncover their neuromuscular results and the effects in different ethnic backgrounds. This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much. And here are our references.